Now, this is the last video in the series. Now we're going to explore the timeline that Daniel gives for the end. Please comment, like and subscribe to my videos, and please share this video right now. So this is it. If I'm right, this could be big. So here we have the prophecy, Daniel 12, 11 to 12.
From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished, and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1,335 days.
Most of you know that the Jews were required to offer a daily sacrifice before Jesus took the place for our sacrifice. So we see here that it's prophesied that these sacrifices would cease. So it says there would be a space between when the daily sacrifice is being abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up. So here we have a date. I believe that it is a prophetic day, referring to a year. Some believe that this is referring to a small period of time to go along with Daniel 9, a period of 7 years. But this too does not match up. In Daniel 9 fits perfectly with another time, which I will get into. Also, there is another convincing argument that I will get into as well. But to put a spanner in the works, there are two other abominations that were prophesied. But were they the same? Have they taken place already? Proving they are different. Let's take a look at that.
Daniel 8:13. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to him, How long will it take for the vision to be fulfilled, the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, the rebellion that causes desolation, the surrender of the sanctuary, and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's people? He said to me, It will take 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated.
So, at a glance, it looks like these are the same prophecies as chapter 12. It has to be, surely, but 1,290 add 1,335 does not add up to 2,300. I don't have to do that to convince you. According to Exodus 29, 38 to 39, the Levites were to offer 2 sacrifices daily. 1 lamb was to be sacrificed in the morning and 1 in the evening. So we know that this time is literal. Because of that, and the events in the chapter were so accurate to the events that happened to the Maccabees, desperate people who want to discredit the Bible say that it was written after the event. But what about many others that have been written and fulfilled? These events took place in 167 BC with Antiochus IV, who built a temple to Zeus. The 2,300 evenings and mornings fit with the number of sacrifices that were found to be offered to God at that time.
Daniel 11:31. His armed forces will rise up to desecrate the temple fortress and will abolish the daily sacrifice. Then they will set up the abomination that causes desolation.
So, this also in chapter 11 is one and the same because it follows the history of the Maccabees. in their events that they wrote down. But it is broken up in verse 35 when it mentions the end, and the verse 36 when it says that there would be a man who would exalt himself above all that is so-called gods. This also can be found in the New Testament in 2 Thessalonians 2:4. So we know that this end bit is about the future and the events that have not happened yet. So Antiochus Epiphanes, so called, offered a pig on the altar on the 25th of Kislev, and he offered this pig and spilt its blood in the Jewish temple and offered it to Zeus. So definitely was an abomination.
Daniel 9:27. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. In the middle of the 7 he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and at the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation, until the end that is decreed is poured out on him.
So after all that, so is this one the same? Well, this one follows the prophecy about the Messiah, which we have already proved that it was Jesus. Click here to see that video. So could there have been an abomination in the temple after Jesus was in the flesh here on earth? Yes. In 118 AD, Hadrian, who was famous for the wall in Scotland, Hadrian's Wall, had an arrangement with the Jews to rebuild the temple, just as it says here, and in the middle of the 3.5 years he broke that covenant and set up a temple to Jupiter. So another abomination that caused desolation. But there is one last one prophesied, as we started with, in Daniel 12. Let's take a look at that.
Daniel 12:11. From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished, and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1,335 days.
So we're back to chapter 12:11, the last abomination that causes desolation. And so far they have been in order, and perhaps this one too. There is another abomination that causes desolation prophesied here. So what could it be? So we know that there was a time gap between when the sacrifices were abolished and the abomination that causes desolation was to be set up, and that is 1,290 days. So as you can see, I've underlined the word abolished. That's because I have delved into a little bit into the Hebrew meaning of this, and you can look it up and see in H5493 that it comes from the word removed, and also used in another scripture when a man called Noah, not Noah's Ark, but a man called Noah, removed the lid of the Ark of the Covenant. Now we could say removed as in past tense. That's what he did. So this abolished could also mean a past tense word. Not as in like when it is abolished, but when it was abolished. From the daily sacrifice that was abolished. So we could say that we could look into the past to see when the daily sacrifice was abolished. And the first time that it was taken away was in 598 BC. So if we take away 598 BC, when the sacrifices were taken away, from the time given, 1,290, and as I explained before, take away 1 BC, we get the date 691 AD. So what happened in 691 AD? Well, this prophecy says that after the daily sacrifice is taken away, the abomination that causes desolation will be set up. So, was something set up where the temple should be? In AD 691? Yes. The Dome of the Rock. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Amazingly accurate. But what about the second bit of the timing? Let's listen to it again.
Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1,335 days.
So as you heard, it says, blessed is the one who waits and reaches the end of 1,335 days, as said before. So 691 add 1,335 is 2,026. So what do you think is going to happen, eh? Comment below. Well, what do I think is going to happen? Well, I believe it's clear that the Dome of the Rock is the abomination that definitely causes desolation. The strange thing is that the temple isn't built yet. Well, this is the reason why I think that this part of the scripture says, blessed is the one who waits and reaches to the end of 1,335 days, because the temple will be rebuilt. If that is the case, then Jesus said, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door.